Hello, 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 and welcome to Updog Sports Talk. My name is Matt Miller. Joining me today is Justin McGovern. What's going on, dude?
Hey,
Going down south to New Orleans. The Saints. Big thing about the Saints the past few years is cap. They've been in
yeah.
cap hell
And
since Drew Brees left.
pretty much ever since we have started doing these, we've been doing these for years now. I've lost track of how many years at this point. We have been saying, okay, guys, like you've been against the cap. Drew Brees is gone. Like, what are we doing here? Just, you need to tear down and get this thing building back up again. You need to quit. But no, they just kept trying to restructure stuff, signing a bunch of old aging vets, and just continued. They pretty much for years, and we complained about this in every single preview we've done of them until this point. They pretty much stuck themselves in purgatory for years now. Finally, this offseason was the time where they decided, okay, this is not working. We need to tear down here and try to build back up again.
Yeah, they brought in Brandon Cooks.
Brought him back.
Little past his prime. Donovan Peoples-Jones, experience to a otherwise not really a whole lot of experience wide receiver core. Brought in a couple of backup linemen, including Will Clapp.
See, that's where I'm a little bit worried. Is their offensive line kind of had some question marks, and your biggest move was bringing in Will Clapp.
Well, I mean, like if they've had some injuries. Penning really wasn't the same after he got hurt.
Well, forgive me. I don't know why I blinked on that, but they did draft Kelvin Banks, which was a huge steal at that.
They went
that was actually
after
a really great pick.
a bigger, meatier man. That was a good pick for them. That was
one of the
needed.
picks of the draft.
Yeah.
I don't know why I initially overlooked that right now, but I was even thinking about that before the show. But
outside
that
of
was
him,
one of the
though,
picks.
outside of him, I mean Vernon Broughton, maybe good pick. But the story is going to be Tyler Shough. Is he going to Shook?
It's pronounced Shuck.
Shook. Okay. Well, glad I said that out loud. Can Tyler Shough take this team over? Can Spencer Rattler just come out of nowhere? Can Jake Hayner, that guy they drafted a couple years ago, can he come out of nowhere? My biggest question mark outside of quarterback is running back depth. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not the same player that he used to be. Cam Akers, not the same player he used to be.
Look at these aging guys they brought in. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers, like very wild contingent there they brought in. The thing is, though, and I think you're about to ask the question. I'll let you ask the question and I might have it.
I mean, what is their identity on offense? Like, you don't know who their quarterback is going to be, and whoever their quarterback is going to be isn't going to have a whole lot of experience. Running back, Kamara has shown that he's either injured or does something stupid in Vegas. So, like, is he going to last the whole season? So, like, what is their identity on offense, Justin?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think it's sort of a weird position right now where they made this pick with Tyler Shough. It's like, okay, you might be thinking of him as a future quarterback, but are you? Like, or are they trying to tank for Arch Manning at this point? That is a serious question that we have to ask.
Yeah,
they at least have some decent running backs. I actually really like the late round pick there, Devin Neal. Like,
he was solid.
A steal for them. But you're looking at receiver here. You have we have to hope that Chris Olave can stay healthy because he had a rough year of concussions, and when those things start, they may not stop. I'm definitely worried about him, and that just leaves you with Rashid Shaheed, former Big Sky playmaker. He's pretty solid, but what else do you got here?
Not much. I mean, luckily they have Banks, Penning, Ruiz, and Fuaga on the offensive line. Eric McCoy, solid, but the question mark for the offensive line is, will they all stay healthy? Because I can't remember the last time, even with Drew Brees, that they've had a healthy offensive line. But moving on to defense, because we could talk forever on this, but they have Chase Young still. They have Cameron Jordan, not to be confused with Jordan Cameron. They brought in Devon Godshaw. Brian Breesy was their draft pick a couple years ago. They have Pete Warner. They got some guys on defense, but is it going to be enough?
You know what's wild? The Honey Badger is still here. He was such a big name guy, and I feel like for some reason he is just completely gone under the radar here. Like, No one talks about him anymore, but he's still playing pretty good ball.
Yeah,
I really, low key.
They brought in his former replacement, Justin Reed.
Yeah. I was going to say, I low key like what they did in the secondary here. Like, they drafted, they got another corner. They have Kool-Aid McKinstry here. They drafted a couple corners here in Quincy Riley and Jonas Sanker to really add some depth to the position. I think we're starting to see at least the Saints develop a pretty decent defensive side.
Yeah, and that's something we haven't seen in a while. But I mean, like I was asking, is it going to be enough for this offense? I mean, like if you can make some stops and go real slow on offense and just eat some time, you're not going to have any league leaders in anything on offense. So if they do that, they can pull out some wins. But if some teams start churning against this defense, I don't see how they're going to be able to compete.
Yeah, my challenge is still like where, you have guys who are pretty solid, but like where is your ferocious pass rusher going to come from? Where are the sacks on third down going to come from? I'm not really sure looking at it here in July, like when that's going to happen.
I mean, the guy that it's supposed to be is Cameron Jordan, but I mean, he's 15 years into his career, 14 years, something like that. I mean, you can't rely heavily on him. Chase Young, pass rush guy in college, but really hasn't shown a whole lot in pass rush. He's kind of turned into like a Jadeveon Clowney who can stop the run. Brian Breesy can get after the quarterback, but I mean, he's an interior defensive lineman, so like he's not going to get a ton of sacks. So it's got to come from somebody else, and if one of these guys can step up, then maybe they can get this going. But like I do like what they did on defense, but offensively, I mean, if they get Arch Manning, this is a good team, but we still have to see what Arch Manning does this year to even really be able to put him here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to we kind of sound like we crowned him as the number one overall pick just because he's the guy everyone's talking about. We're not going to crown him with that just yet. Yeah, I think my last closing thoughts on the Saints here. This looks like a team that's sort of in that transition right now, and that's okay.
Yeah. It beats the hell out of starting over completely. Just tearing it all down.
It beats being in purgatory, which is where they have been for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens this season, but we aren't too high on the Saints right now. Follow us at Updog Sports Talk on all social media. Follow us at Updog Sports Talk on wherever you get your podcasts. We're not going to be live on YouTube while we're doing these videos, but we will resume live shows in the fall. Thank you guys for joining us, and catch you later.